Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to get this underway, and so if those who intend to sit up here on the gazebo would take their places, we'll get started. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending today and joining us in what has been a long-awaited Memorial Day ceremony and parade. We'd like to begin with the invocation from Peter McDonald, American Legion Post 127.
Good morning, all. Wonderful day. Oh, okay, good. This is a very solemn day, which a lot of people sometimes forget. I hate to put a damper on it, but keep it serious just for a little while. And please remember those we have lost. And above all, please let me say that Almighty God, giver of all victories, we thank thee for the opportunities which abide in our land, for thy guidance in our hour of peril, and thy tender love in times of need. Help us to remember with reverence and the valor and devotion of our departed comrades, not only those whose bodies consecrate our country's soil, but also those who keep sleep beyond the seas, and those others whose resting places will not be known until the last day when the deep will have given up its dead. O God, teach us to honor them by ever cherishing the ideals for which they fought. Keep us steadfast in the cause of human rights and liberties, of law and order and true Americanism. Give us the power to see and the will to do the right. Grant that the American Legion may preserve the high ideals for which our comrades died. Thy merciful blessing rest upon those they left behind. Keep us forever firm in righteousness, humble in heart, and unselfish in purpose. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Now we'll have the flag raised by Boy Scout Pack 922. Thank you, and please remain standing as we are led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Anna Mae Piger, President of Unit 127 of the American Legion Auxiliary.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We are very fortunate to have this perfect day after several years of less than perfect weather. And we are going to get rolling right now. We'd like to hear from a few of our elected and appointed leaders, some of whom I will mention by name. Governor Daniel Lamont of the Constitution State of Connecticut. Senior U.S. Senator from the state of Connecticut, Richard Blumenthal. Is Chris Murphy here? William Tong, Connecticut State Treasurer. Kathy Kennedy, State Senator, 14th District. Mary Wielander, State Representative, 114th District. Charles Ferraro, State Representative, 117th District. James Maroney, State Representative, 119th District. Ben Gettinger, Probate Judge for Milford Orange. Chief of Police, Robert Gagne. Assistant Police Chief, Max Martins. Mary Shaw, Town Clerk. Thomas Hurley, Tax Collector. And of course, our selectmen. James Zioli, First Selectman. Mitchell Goldblatt. PJ Shanley. And Judy Williams. Thank you. Our Fire Chief, Vaughn Dumas. Former Fire Chief Charles Sherwood. Post Commander, American Legion 127, Louis Merritt. And Dr. Vince Scarpetti, Superintendent of Schools. Thank you all for being here. It is customary at this ceremony to recognize several veterans who have served honorably in our military. And this year, we have three eminent choices. First, our Grand Marshal for the 2022 Memorial Day Ceremony and Parade, Martin Kintzler, Corporal, U.S. Army, 1948 to 1952. Mr. Kintzler was born in New York City and raised in Brooklyn. Graduated in 1948 and enlisted in the Army in New York. He was sent to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where he underwent basic training, advanced training in recon and field artillery. He was trained as a forward observer and he was separated from the Army in September 1949 and placed in the active reserve of the 373 Transportation Major Protective Unit. When the Korean War started in June of 1950, he was activated and sent to Camp Kilmore. He was sent to Korea in September 1951 and assigned to a field artillery battalion. In late April, ordered back to the States and was discharged in June of 1952. Mr. Kintzler. We are going to present Mr. Kintzler with a plaque. There you are, sir. Additionally, this memorial coin and a hat to recognize this day. You can just put it in a bag. We'll put it in a bag for you. Please feel free to say a few words.
Before I tell you about my service, I would like to thank the town of Orange for bestowing this honor on me. I was born in New York City on March 16th, 1930, and raised in Brooklyn. I traveled through the school system from elementary to high school and graduated in 1948. In 1948, Congress passed a law that allowed 18-year-olds to enter the armed forces for 1 year of active duty and then serve 3 years in the inactive reserve and then be discharged. I thought about this, and I didn't want to be drafted while I was in college. One day I went to the Paramount Theater in Times Square in New York. Saw a movie with Alan Ladd called The Great Blue Line. It was about West Point. At the end of the movie, I went across the street to the Army recruiting officer and signed up for the 1-year program. At this time, I wish to explain a method of the Army for selecting sites for Army bases. They select an area that is the coldest in winter, the hottest in the summer, and has the highest chance of hurricanes. The largest insect, and that site became an Army base. That was the reason for Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I sent for Fort Dix in New Jersey, and I was sent to New Jersey and then to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. At Fort Sill, I underwent basic training and advanced training in recon. At that time, there was a problem in Russia, in Europe, and the powers that be dissolved the unit and sent them all over to Europe, leaving the 1-year man in Fort Sill, as we could not be sent out of the country. I then began training in field artillery. I was trained as a forward observer. I recall saying to my commanding officer that I had difficulty seeing. His answer was that I would go up front so I could see better. When I separated after 1 year, I was placed in reserve unit, and when the Korean War started, I was recalled for 3 years. I was discharged after serving 3 years, 8 months, and 22 days. I was fortunate that I was able to come home to my family. Many was not so fortunate, and we honor and remember them this Memorial Day. Again, I wish to thank you for giving me this honor. Thank you.
Our second honoree, the Honorary Chief of Staff, is Valentin Loureiro.
First of all, let me thank everyone for making this honor for me possible, and I really appreciate it. I'm not much good at speech making, so I'm going to make it pretty short. I don't think I really deserve this because there are a whole bunch of people in our post that probably deserve this more than me. For example, when I graduated from college in 1955 and I got my commission, at the time we were between wars. So therefore, the government only wanted me in for 6 months. So all I had to serve is 6 months at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. And after that, I was out, and I spent maybe the next 7 or 8 years on active reserve duties. But that's about it. So, and the other thing I have to thank them for is allow them, they made a nice picture and they got it in the newspaper. So I actually have people tell me, boy, they saw my picture in the paper. So I became a little famous because of that. But other than that, what the real important thing to remember on Veterans Day is not people like me. The people who have served for many, many, many years, and so many of them even not only served in our military, but died for this country. And many of them got very badly wounded. And they've been in hospitals and suffering for years and years. Those are the people we really have to thank. The other people, not guys like me who only spent 6 months in the service. The real heroes are those who spent years and years and years and gave their lives and gave their physical bodies to the country. And thank you very much.
Now, would you clap? Your other tokens of our appreciation are in the bag. Thank you, Mr. Loureiro. Our third honoree, whom we characterize as our honored veteran, is Andrew Blanchette. Mr. Blanchette. We have a plaque also for Mr. Blanchette. These are courtesy of the Orange Foundation, and we are grateful to them, as we are to our honored veteran. Please, say a word.
Thank you very much for this honor. It's a sort of a bittersweet day for me. My wife, Sue, passed away suddenly in March. I wish she were here, and I'd like to dedicate this to her. And again, thank you for everything. And I also remember the veterans that did not make it back from Vietnam, like I did.
Our speaker for this morning is Susan von Rabenstein.
Thank you to the Parade Committee for inviting me to speak today. Admittedly, it's a big surprise, but truly an honor to share the stage with these men of distinguished service. Please indulge me for a few minutes. I believe I was asked to speak because I have a different perspective on military life. To clarify, I am not a veteran. I am the daughter of Jim and Maureen White. My father graduated West Point in 1960 and served as an officer in the U.S. Army for 22 years, essentially my entire childhood. My three siblings and I were frequently called two things as we grew up. My father referred to us as the troops, and most other people referred to us as Army brats. We have been called that our entire lives, long past my father's retirement. Brat lives on. I thought it was a nickname that came from the lifestyle, because we lived at the mercy of my father's postings, being uprooted with no consideration to the rest of the family. We possibly became socially unpleasant children. Brats. It wasn't until I was asked to speak today that I actually researched where the name came from. It seems to be an historic acronym originating in England as early as 1920, and it stands for the British Regimented Attached Traveler, and was the semi-official designation of the children that traveled along with their officer fathers. And although we are not British, we were definitely the attached travelers to my father's years of service. We went everywhere he went. We lived on bases, posts, and compounds in every part of the country and overseas. Some assignments were only 6 months long, others lasted several years. Looking back now, I appreciate how unique our childhood was under the U.S. military's umbrella as our fathers attached travelers. This afforded us experiences that seemed very normal to us, but in most cases were probably not typical of a civilian childhood. For example, while stationed in Virginia, we went to the local piers to fish for crab. But the local piers were on a Navy base with destroyers and battleships docked, and the Navy men assigned to those boats often helped us catch the crab that were beyond our reach. We attended our share of touch-a-truck events as children as well, but were allowed to go in and climb on tanks, troop carriers, cannons, and helicopters, as well as base fire trucks and police cars. We traveled overseas in planes from the Airlift Command Unit and were allowed in the cockpit to help fly the C-130 Hercules cargo planes. My siblings and I sat in the jump seats and with harness seat belts in planes that were designed for men deploying supplies and equipment all over the world, not dependent children on vacation. Our scout trips did more than campouts and service events. We were invited to participate in receiving lines and parades to welcome past and current presidents to our bases. And our family was pushed in front of the line in some of the most chaotic airports you can imagine because our passports were military brown, and that made us special. These adventures, as my father's attached traveler throughout his years of service, were both incredible and challenging. We probably didn't appreciate them then and maybe acted a little bit bratty from time to time. But looking back now, today, I am honored to be part of this community, and I'm proud that my father made West Point his goal and the U.S. Army his career. But Memorial Day isn't about remembering veterans and their families. It's about honoring those servicemen who are not able to lead their attached travelers through the kinds of adventures that I experienced, those that made a far greater sacrifice. As we traveled around the country and the world, my parents would always include visits to the local battlefields, memorials, and cemeteries to honor the veterans and servicemen that fought in those battles and those that died far from home. At some point, we grew up and realized a far more significant truth. My father was in Vietnam when I was born and left shortly after my brother and sister were born to go back. At the time, we were too young to know what that might mean for our family. But as we got older, we learned how very fortunate we are to know our father, to know his stories, and to have him know ours. Many of his classmates were not so lucky. So when Veterans Day arrives in November, please thank a veteran for their service and thank their families as well, because military life is a family commitment. But today, please join me in honoring the memories of loved ones lost during their service to the country and those family members they left behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Van Ravenstein. Sue's father is right there in the front row. Congratulations, sir. At this time, the Memorial Day Parade Committee would like to acknowledge and thank Bob Murdo, Esquire, for the many years of service. Over the years, Bob has been not only an active member, he has become our friend. Robert Murdo, Esquire, was appointed to the committee as the town meeting moderator and has served this committee as the master of ceremonies with compassion and reverence for many, many years. Bob's late wife, Denise, had two sisters, Lieutenant Colonel Patricia C. Hartman and Lieutenant Carrie Como Piazza, who both served in combat and were honored by this committee in 2008. We'd like to thank Bob for his volunteerism, dependability, patriotism, and dedication. Bob Murdo.
I would like to thank everybody here for acknowledging my activity in regard to this ceremony. As was indicated, my wife Denise was up on the platform with me for all the years that I was doing this, and on November 4th, she passed away this year. I also sold our house, and we're in the process of cleaning it out for a sale, which is an unbelievable chore. So with that in mind, I decided that I would resign because I didn't think I could do all of this. But one thing that occurred to me that happened yesterday, I got a call from Kelly Martino asking me if I could please be at the ceremony today. I said I didn't know whether I was coming, but she said, we realize what you've meant to us, and we would like you to be there, which made me realize what I did mean to them and what they meant to me. And as a result, I am here today. I just want to say thank you to everyone. It's been a wonderful experience. So many wonderful things have happened that we all know about, and some stuff that only the people on this committee know about. But I want to thank everybody, and see you.
Thank you, Bob. And I personally would like to mention that what he has done is not easy. Additionally, our committee would like to take a moment to remember our long-term committee member, James Morena, who passed away on October 25th. Jim was a Navy veteran and a dedicated member of the Legion and the Memorial Day Parade Committee. Throughout his 70s, Jim attended bi-weekly meetings and performed the invocation each year at the Memorial Day ceremonies at this gazebo. Jim was stationed in Barriers Point in Oahu, Hawaii in the 60s. While in service, he received the National Defense Service Medal and the Battle Efficiency Award pennant for superior performance in an operational environment. Jim continued his service in the Naval Reserves in Bainbridge, Maryland. Today, we would like to honor our longtime committee member and our friend for his service to our committee, to our town, and our country. Jim Morena. At this time, I am privileged to call to the podium our Governor, Daniel Lamont.
Otherwise known as Ned Lamont. I just want to say to the Amity High School band, I love you being here, and I hope you have some special appreciation for why Memorial Day is so important. I think it's the 160th anniversary, and I appreciate all the people here in Orange being here to remember those who gave their lives for a cause bigger than themselves for freedom, and those that came back and served. To our amazing honorees, thank you for what you have done. Look, it was November of 1863, soon after the Battle of Gettysburg, which was the bloodiest war in the history of our country. Americans were fighting on both sides. And it was Abraham Lincoln, you know, spoke for about 3 minutes. Governor Edward Edwards of Massachusetts spoke for about 2 hours. Sometimes you think these governors get paid by the word. But Abraham Lincoln said, we're here in the Gettysburg Address, that those who died did not die in vain. They died for a cause bigger than themselves. They died for freedom. And as you heard from our honorees, we have interruptions where things are going really well, but we always need the strength of our military and our vets and their families and the Army brats who are always there to stand up. And I think this is more important than ever. I'm so proud of Connecticut. I mean, Connecticut, we are the arsenal of democracy. You know, submarines, helicopters, F-35s. If you're going to see Top Gun tonight, F-35s. I want to say special thanks to the first responders and the Guard. I mean, the Guard stood up every day for us during this last 2 years of hell. They were right there making our field hospitals. They were right there after Isaiah. Then they had to fly off to Djibouti. I had to look it up, Djibouti, where it is. And they were there, our Connecticut Guard, for almost a year. And right down the street, you could see the lights of the Chinese tents. And it gives you an idea of the world in which we live in. The Soviet bear is back on the prowl again. And this is a day for us to be proud of those who have served their country, proud of those who have family members who are there, some of which made it back, many of which did not. But we're all Americans. It's a day of pride, and we know what we fight for every day. We have the best soldiers in the world, not because we're forced to fight, but because we do it reluctantly. We do it because we believe in America. And Memorial Day is our way of reminding them we believe in you because you believe in America. Thanks to our vets.
Thank you, Governor. I'd also like to take this moment to call to the podium our senior senator, Richard Blumenthal.
Thank you so much. You know, as long as I've been coming to Orange for this event, I can't remember a more beautiful day, but I don't remember any day when these stands weren't filled and the parade route wasn't clogged with people. Orange knows the importance of this day, and I just want to thank the town of Orange for reminding us what's important about Memorial Day and what's important about being an American. It isn't the malls or the barbecues or the beaches. Fine to be there on Memorial Day, but it really is about honoring the public servants, the fallen, our nation's heroes, who went into harm's way, served and sacrificed so that we can enjoy these freedoms here today. The best way to honor them is to also remember our veterans and their needs. The need for education, job training, and yes, health care. I serve on the Veterans Affairs Committee in the Senate, as well as the Armed Services Committee. And I've made it my mission to focus on the invisible wounds of war, because the fallen often give their lives not only on the battlefield, but when they come back. If they are not given that health care that is so important. We've just passed a measure in our committee that provides for the health effects of burn pits, the toxic chemicals on the battlefield. 2 of my sons served in the last 20 years, one as a Marine Corps infantryman, an officer in Afghanistan, the other is a Navy SEAL. And so many of our men and women were exposed to radiation, chemicals, the burn pits. We owe them for those invisible wounds. We owe the veterans who have come back with PTS and sometimes take their own lives. Our servicemen and women sometimes fall not just in combat, but with the wounds of combat invisible wounds when they return. So let's keep them not only in our thoughts and prayers, but also in what we do. Honor the fallen with action for the living. I want to thank the three great veterans who are here today, Andrew, Valentine, Martin. Thank you for your service. And to all the people of Orange and the families, not just the brats, but the moms who keep those brats going in tough times. We owe you a great debt of gratitude. You served as well. Thank you all for being here on this day, and be safe. God bless, and God bless our great country. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to, first of all, apologize for having misspoken earlier. The next speaker will be our Attorney General, and I didn't give him that office. He earned it on his own. Our Attorney General, William Tong, former treasurer.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you to our veterans who have served, our servicemen and women who have served and are serving. And thank you to our speakers and honorees this morning for celebrating their families. As we know all too well, families serve alongside the servicemen and women, and families shoulder much of the burden and help to keep us safe. I want to say a special word of thanks to our Korea War veterans who served in Vietnam, in World War II in the Pacific, everyone who served in a Pacific theater over these last 50, 75 years. I wouldn't be here without you. My family didn't just pick up and decide to move from China to Hartford, Connecticut. They ran. They ran from war, they ran from famine, they ran from homelessness, and they wouldn't have gotten here safely if there weren't American soldiers fighting to keep them safe. Let me also say thank you on this Memorial Day. It's now going on 3 years that we've all been fighting this pandemic. Let me thank the first responders here, the firefighters and the police officers, and the nurses and the doctors. Chiefs, you want to talk about people that have been on the front lines for us, keeping us safe, literally keeping us safe, keeping us healthy, saving lives here in Connecticut. On behalf of my family, and I'm sure all the families of Connecticut, we want to thank our firefighters, police officers, nurses, doctors, first responders. Thank you so much for doing all that you do for us. God bless you. God bless Orange. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney General Tong. One of our regular features in this ceremony is to choose essays from each elementary school that capture the meaning behind the observation of Memorial Day. And we have 3 such winners today who will come up and read their essays. First, from Racebrook School, Yasin Ali. Right.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Yasin Ali, and this is my essay. Memorial Day is a day to commemorate and honor the deceased soldiers who served our country, the United States of America. These soldiers made sure that our country and its citizens are able to live free from any harm and to make America a safe place for everyone, whether they were born here or in another country. Memorial Day is not a day to mourn the deaths of these soldiers, but it is a day to remember that these martyrs did not die in vain, how they had the courage to stand up and fight for what's right so that the U.S. citizens live in a place where they can be free for the rest of their lives. As said in the national anthem of the U.S., "'Tis the Star-Spangled Banner, O long may it wave, or the land of the free and the home of the brave. The U.S. is the home of those brave, honorable people, and it is the home of citizens who are free because of those veterans who want to keep us safe from harm. Let us not take our freedom for granted, because our freedom costs many lives, and we should be grateful that we live in such a great country, because sadly, other countries and their citizens are not as fortunate.
Thank you. I have a gift for you. Each of our essay winners receives a $25 gift certificate to Dip Top. Give me a second here, folks. This is not tight. You got a screwdriver? Thank you. Next, we have Alexandria LeBeau from Mrs. Wolf's class at Peck Place School. Alexandria?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexandria LeBeau from Miss Wolf's class at the Peck Place School here in Orange. I'd like to share with you why I believe Memorial Day is celebrated. Memorial Day is a day of remembrance to honor the brave men and women who gave their lives in battle during all American wars and conflicts. Memorial Day, as we know it, was first named Decoration Day. Decoration Day began during the American Civil War, in which people placed flowers on graves of those who had been killed in battle. After World War I, Decoration Day came to be observed in honor of those who had died in all U.S. wars, and its name changed to Memorial Day. Since 1971, Memorial Day has been observed on the last Monday in May. In 1868, John A. Logan, the Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army of the Republic, promoted a national holiday on May 30th. For the purpose of strewing flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion. Many people celebrate Memorial Day for loved ones who have given the ultimate sacrifice in defense of this country. Memorial Day is observed with the laying of the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington National Cemetery. Memorial Day is also celebrated by religious services, parades, and speeches nationwide. Memorial Day is not just a day off from work or school. It's not about barbecues and parades. Memorial Day is about remembering. Set aside a moment at some point today to think about a service member you may have known or a service member you may have seen in a picture on a wall or in a book who have gave the ultimate sacrifice in defense of this great country. Every year on Memorial Day, I think about the sacrifices that my dad's friends made when he was in Iraq and Afghanistan, and how young he said his friends were when they died in combat. He told me to look up quotes which could help me understand Memorial Day a little better and not make it such a sad day. I found this quote by General George S. Patton, which makes me proud and not a sad thing about my dad's friends. This quote sums up Memorial Day for me. It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God such men live. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandria. Our third reader and essay winner is Avery Alves from Mrs. Ginsburg's 6th grade class. At THS. Avery. Speak right into it.
Nowadays, children see the holiday we know as Memorial Day as a day off from school and the unofficial beginning of summer. What they don't realize is the fact that brave men and women have given their lives for our country, and the smallest gesture we can do is celebrate what they did for us on this very special day every year. Hi, I'm Avery Alves, a 6th grader in Miss Ginsburg's class at Turkey Hill School. I wanted to talk to you on this very special day about the importance of Memorial Day. There are certain things kids need to know, and they should reflect on the U.S. citizens who courageously use their strength, bravery, and fearless attitude to serve our country. The men and women from our branches of the military, the U.S. Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Navy, and as of June 2018, Space Force, have given their lives for us fellow Americans. Just imagine the amount of grit that is needed to fight every single day knowing could possibly be your last. That just goes to show how courageous these amazing people had to be to become a part of the military. May 30th is a day to remember the heroes who have lost their lives fighting for America. Here are things kids can do to show their respect and appreciation for these special people. Children anywhere can place flowers on the graves of lost soldiers, fly flags at half-staff, be in parades, or even take a moment out of their day to remember the fighters we value. Even taking the smallest action during this day will pay respect and show great admiration for those who have perished. To the parents of kids living here in Orange, Connecticut, please teach your children the importance of Memorial Day. They will remember this day as an important way to celebrate the fallen soldiers who have fought for the lives of U.S. citizens across the country. They may even inspire some young ones who look up to these heroes to follow their paths and maybe even become part of the inspiring U.S. military someday.
Thank you, Avery.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, it is my solemn obligation and honor to recite the names in memoriam of those service members from Orange of whom we have received notice of their demise. These are people who we have received information from various sources that these former and Orange residents have passed away in the last year. They include Ludwig J. Angeloni, Robert Baltimore, Dr. James Bloom, Herman Rich Borer Sr., Jeffrey Caldwell, Francis Coyle, Alfred Dello Russo, Anthony Del Visco, Durward Dunbar Jr., James Frank, Vera Gaetano, Pacific Giordano, Jerome Goldberg, Herbert Gold, Marino Guerra, Ronald Idarola, Frederick Kendrick, Robert Lanzi, Vincent Loverme, George Mayenza, James Morena, Michael Matheson, Robert McKay, Salvador Mecca, Daniel Frank Mole, Thomas Papson Jr., Raymond Posovic, James Relihan, Robert Shanley, James Simone, Walter Bud Smith, William A. Sprouse Jr., Mark D. Stevens, and Albert Sabloy. We are also honored to have with us today Themis Clarides, former minority leader of the Connecticut State Senate. And we have two of our honorees from 2021, Dr. Marieb and Kevin Hadlock. Please stand up, gentlemen. All right, I'd like to call. Oh, okay. I have one more name to announce, so I beg your pardon on that. We had the program color contest winner, Kristen Barnes from Racebrook School. Kristen, are you here? Thank you very much. I think you'll agree it's a beautiful program. Next, we will have the general orders for our day's event, read by Lewis Merritt, Commander of American Legion Post 127. Commander Merritt.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't want to have to kneel. Good morning, and thank you for coming. On behalf of all the veterans here, I want to say thank you to the town of Orange, to the Memorial Day Committee, and for all of you for taking this time to come out and remember our fallen comrades, those who have served in the armed forces of the United States to defend our nation. At the conclusion of this ceremony, I'm asking all of our dignitaries here to assemble at the entrance to the Orange Community Center here, where they will then be escorted by the police to the reviewing stand down Orange Center Road across from the Orange Green. There they will ascend the platform and then review the parade as it progresses up the road. All the marching units and floats will now assemble in their respective divisions. The veterans and marching units in Section 1 will form the head of the parade and will proceed down Orange Center Road, past the reviewing stand, rendering honors as appropriate, and on past the firehouse to the cemetery. At the cemetery, the marching units will then enter the cemetery for the final ceremony honoring our fallen veterans. Motorized units will continue down Orange Center Road and out the exit. People dismounting from floats or moving vehicles, please turn right into the parking area at Mary L. Tracy and dismount there and then safely cross the road to the cemetery. At which point, when the parade passes by completely, the American Legion will then conduct its memorial ceremony at the cemetery, ending with taps and firing a volley in honor of those who have fallen. Again, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Commander Merritt. At this time, we will have taps. Thank you. Next, we'll have the benediction from Antoinette Hudgens, Post 127.
Virginia Allen.
I'm sorry, my mistake. Virginia Allen will read the benediction.
Let us pray. May the strength of God sustain us, preserve, protect, and direct us. Dear God, as we approach Memorial Day, may we honor and remember those who died that we might live in freedom. We remember our departed ones gone on before. Those that we honor will be a part of our lives forever. Oh God, we are mindful of your great love for us. We are We thankful for that love. We praise you for the blessing of love and friendship for our families and for our homes. Amen.
Thank you. Please remain standing, ladies and gentlemen, for our national anthem to be sung by Diane Rakes, accompanied by the Amity Senior High Band. Better late than never, huh?
I'm okay.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, our ceremony will conclude, and we thank you for your participation. The parade begins directly. Be about 5-10 minutes to get going. Thank you for your attendance. All right, here comes the parade. Test 1, 2. Orange Police Department, color guard. Attorney General William Tong. Our parade starters today, ladies and gentlemen, are George Jean, Richard Hohen, Mark Sandillo, John P. Sullivan, John S. Sullivan, Megan Crawford, Ron Wachter, and George McLeman. We want to also thank our Memorial Day coordinators, co-chairs of our committee, Kevin Gilbert and Kelly Marino.
How long have you known me? Bertino. Give me into Marino. I like 1 year. It was the first year I ran. It was so hot. I literally went home, showered and changed, and went to the local pool. It was
get on the scale on Monday and you're like 10 pounds lighter.
Just shows the scar that he's left on his mind.
This time I'll be like, go home, ice the knee, and then go walk down and milk it. And I missed it. 2 days before suffering. Looks like it's been bothering. It had been bothering me for months and months, and a quick run to get into the chamber. I heard it pop.
That's not good.
Go right to the ACL. Just the ACL. I have a business trip or something like that too.
Okay.
So don't go away. One problem at a time. Life is good. Life is good. Gotta look at it positive.
Orange Post 127, American Legion, United States of America. Lou Merritt, Post Commander. Bob Murdo, Emeritus. And the auxiliary, Anna Mae Gaipo.
Good job, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Do any of you want to go for it?
I got it.
You're in it. You guys in.
I got one.
There you go.
Now we just gotta say hi.
Yeah.
It was my flag. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Our Grand Marshal has arrived, Martin Kinsler. We are proud to honor him today for his service. Here comes the 103rd Air Control Squadron, Air National Guard, Lieutenant Colonel Glenn Sherman. Beautiful vintage Cadillac. And even more vintage, 1930 Model A. patriotic essay and program prize winners. Parade Marshal, Rich Owens. And a huge tribute to America being carried aloft by the Orange Rotary. Thank you. Thank you, Orange Rotary. Amity High School Marching Band. The Spartan Band. Phil Dolan, Director. Maestro. Hey, Amity Marching Band. Two bass clarinets, that's a band.
When you're ready.
Daisy Troop, 60226. Holly Bernstein. Hi, kids. Troop 60274. And Girl Scout Troop 60165 and 60246. Goodman Performing Arts Center. Thank you, ladies. Nutmeg Volunteer Junior Ancient Fife and Drum Corps, Groton, Connecticut. It's an award-winning youth musical organization from Groton, Connecticut, performing throughout New England and New York the music of the Revolutionary, Civil War, and modern fife and drum eras. Bethany Volunteer Fire Department. Pawcasset Club. Tennis, swimming, and more, including riding in the back of a truck. Pawcasset Club has been here since 1948. That's a long time ago. Look at those big old horses. New Haven Gaelic Highland Pipe Band. Orange Congregational Church. Never forget, ever honor. Thank you. Fife and Drum Corps. The Stony Creek Fife and Drum Corps. Founded 1886. Their first gig was in 1887 to dedicate the monument on top of East Rock. Amity Softball. And Amity Little League. Orange Youth Soccer. The Emerald Society of New Haven County Firefighters, pipes and drums. Amity Soccer, Tom Brissell. Orange Youth Soccer, Tom Pisano and Bill Hoffman. Milford Ancient Fife and Drum. Milford Volunteers. Cub Scout Pack 927. Orange Lions Club. "70 years in Milford. Orange." Getting sunstroke up there. "70 years. Orange Lions. Amity Middle School, Spartan Band. Playing that great patriotic anthem. Middle School Marching Band, Amity. Director Kristen Marcy. Orange CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. We're so glad they're there. Pino Russo, CERT Team. The Orange Volunteer Fire Department, Color Guard and Marching Unit, Chief Vaughn Dumas. OVFD, keeping our town safe. And this is what they're doing it with. It's a clean machine. Don't forget the Fireman's Carnival begins on August 4th and runs through Sunday the 7th. You can buy your advance tickets online. Orange Public Works. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're as happy as I am that we were finally able to march today. Please join us at the cemetery for the conclusion of today's ceremonies. Thank you.
On behalf of the American Legion Post 127 and all the veterans who have served armed forces, I want to thank you for coming down here to this memorial ceremony where we honor those who have fallen in the service of our country. Now, Chaplain Peter McDonald will now read the prayer. Please stand.
Don't forget to uncover. Gentlemen. Yes, I will. All right. Real short, to the point. Bow our heads in reverence, please. Remember the people that have passed away. Eternal God, we thank Thee for this hallowed soil. Make it worthy, we pray Thee, to guard our heritage of pride through all the years to come. In memory of these our dead, may we pledge to our beloved and the same service and the same devotion. And, O Lord, secure us evermore the peace for which our comrades died. Amen.
Cover.
Cover.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, sir.
You may be seated. Memorial Day, starting as Decoration Day in the Civil War, marks the memory of those who have served our country. My grandfather served in the Army in World War I. My father couldn't, so he served in the State Police Auxiliary during World War II, so no patrolman would serve alone. I served in Vietnam and the Cold War. My son has served in the Navy during the War on Terror. I do not ask my grandchildren to serve. I ask them if they feel that they want to serve, that they should. If they don't, I ask them to please honor those who have served and given their lives so that we may enjoy the freedoms of liberty and justice that our government in the United States and the free world affords its citizens. For it is the veteran that stands in the face of those who do us harm. And we honor those today in Orange, in our cemetery. We also honor the veterans in all the cemeteries throughout our country and our foreign cemeteries in lands where we were not able to return our veterans home. These dot the world from the Pacific, North Africa, and Europe, wherever our soldiers have fallen and laid rest to territory we now revere as American soil, bought and paid for by the lives of our veterans. So on this day, we honor those here who remember their forefathers and what they have brought us. With that, I'm going to ask Anna Mae, the president of the auxiliary, to place the wreath on the marker for the unknown soldiers, those who we have not been able to count for and whose memory we still honor. I now ask upon the Civil Air Patrol to place the wreath on behalf of the Jewish war veterans who could not be here to do it themselves. They honor, like we honor, all of our veterans and the life that we enjoy. Now, the poppy has become the symbol since War I of honor of our veterans. And I read the poem from John McCrae, Lieutenant Colonel in the Royal Medical Corps in War I. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow, between the white crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely sing. Fly scarcely heard amidst the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved. Now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, faith hands, we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. And now, let us salute the dead. Two. This concludes our Memorial Day ceremonies here in Orange. Go forth and enjoy today. It's a beautiful day. Give honor to those in your thoughts who've made this day possible for you. With that, may God bless you all, and may God bless the United States of America.